So our last method of solving quadratics for 11.6 is called the quadratic formula. So once again, you have solving by factoring, which is the easiest to do, but you won't always be able to use solving by factoring. Sometimes if it's like decimals or you can't find two numbers that multiply to the back that can add to the middle, you want to use another method, okay? Quadratic formula will always work on all equations, always. Completing the square is obviously one that you can use, especially when you're trying to do like vertex form, or it's one that you can't easily factor. Some people have trouble with the quadratic formula just because it has a lot of like little pieces, and if you get one of them wrong, then I'll mess up the whole problem. So the quadratic formula looks like this. Okay, they get the A, B, and C from ax squared plus bx plus c. That's where the A, B, and C parts are coming from. They can be positive, they can be negative, they can be decimals, they can be zero. You just have to make sure you get all the three parts. What I like to do is always write them down, and that way I know what they are from the very, very beginning. So we have this first equation here. Like factoring, it has to be equal to 0 first. So it asks you to step one, rewrite the equation in standard form. So the 11 is going to move to the other side, become a positive 11, and then we have 0 over here. Now what we have, A equals 1 there. B equals, negative 12. And then C equals positive 11. That's what you're going to plug into this equation up here. Okay. Whenever it's negative, especially out front and the squared, be sure to put it in parentheses. So let's go down. They do it all for you here. As you can see, the negative 12 is in parentheses. Everything's in parentheses. What you want to do is simplify the square root first. Okay, simplify that as much as it can go. Obviously, 100 is a nice number. You don't have to worry about the plus or minus because it's already factored in the middle. So once you have your as simplified as it can go, then you want to go ahead and break apart 1 as a plus and then 1 as a minus. And I would even go one step further and say, okay, this one is 22 divided by, 12, or 2. Not 11. That's this part here. And then the other part will be 2 divided by 2. Okay, that way you can see everything all together. Be very, very careful when plugging this into a calculator, because if you forget a parentheses or if you put the divide by in the wrong spot, sometimes it'll mess up. So you really just want to focus on the top and then wait to the division sign until the very, very end. So the two answers to this one are 11 and 1. Once again, like completing the square, if you get nice numbers, in other words, you don't get decimals, you don't get square roots, chances are you could have factored it from the very beginning. So let's go over here and look, and you can. If I look at x squared minus 12x plus 11, are there two numbers that multiply to 11 that can add to 12? Yeah. 11, and 1, right? Minus. Okay, that's where you're getting the same numbers from. So it just depends on what it's asking you to do. If it just said solve, you always want to try factoring first because it's the one that takes the least amount of steps. But quadratic formula is a really good one. If you cannot factor it or can't see it, it will always work, okay? Especially if you're given stuff like decimals or fractions or anything like that makes it a lot harder to complete the square or factor. Quadratic formula is a really great one to try.